So, let me give this a little update. Make sure that everyone's getting in properly.
Oh, I'm on the screen too.
Do you?
Okay.
I'm sorry. Would you?
No, no,
As we
I'm fine with
discussed, you're
that.
all right
I'm
with
fine
that.
with that. Yeah. I thought like I was only gonna be on the screen with you, but I'm fine with that. I'm good.
All right.
I'm good. This is
Appreciate it.
so fun. Yeah.
Oh no, this is a yeah. Thank you, Ice Borer. So I'm keeping up with the chat as well. So let's get everybody in. Let's get everybody in. This is a new thing for everyone. We have a guest, so let's all be polite. Papa Gritty, welcome. Let's get into it. Let's get everybody. We're socialists, so we need a minute or two to kind of get everybody together. Oh, how is everybody feeling this evening? Checking. Oh, I should have. Let me give it a little tweeteroonie to make sure that everybody knows. One moment.
I didn't wear makeup because I thought I was just talking to you, Sam, but I'm fine.
Oh, I
So,
really apologize.
no, I'm fine. It's so funny.
Um. Alrighty. All right. Yeah, everybody's gonna be real funny. Everybody wants Dwight to turn on his camera. Yeah, maybe one day. Okay, so let's start into this thing. Obviously, we have an esteemed guest with us, of which I have a deep debt of gratitude for joining us as our first guest. For those of you joining into the chat, I'd like to introduce you to Nashwa Khan of Habibti Please podcast, coming to you from above the northern border, if I may say. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, what a pleasure to have you on. I really appreciate you joining. It means a lot.
It's
Um,
exciting. Good Sunday night.
for the before we get into this stuff, and we have a relatively robust agenda for this evening, and we got a couple things to cover for the benefit of our listeners or for the people tuning in. Would you please explain what you do and what your podcast is about?
So my podcast is a podcast where I usually interview guests or use topics that are kind of related to like left, I would say, Arab, Pakistani, South Asian politics, Muslim politics. And in my day life, I am still technically a student and I do community-based research. Usually I coordinate research projects in Toronto.
Outstanding. So, we were discussing this a little bit before our sort of introductory remarks. The thing, before we get into the kind of content, the thing that's just blowing my mind and is occupying more than I care to think about is how the UK is dealing with their lockdown. I think in a word, if I have to say it sort of nice, it's fucked.
Yeah,
And even the
the nicest.
yeah, even the shit that I saw last night, like St. Pancras Station, the pictures that were coming out of St. Pancras were terrifying. I mean, packed. For those that don't know, in London, this is kind of like Penn Station or Grand Central Station for London, and it's yeah, everyone's going to Leeds. Oh God, that's it to me. Obviously, shows the kind of like I don't know, classism that exists for people that may have access to a country home or a residence outside of the city that they can go to skirt the tier 4 restrictions, or it's just avoid the entire city in general. Um,
It's kind of like when New Yorkers went to Catskills. Is that the right way to say it?
oh sure, oh sure, the Catskills, the Berkshires, Connecticut, the Hamptons, the Cape, Jersey Shore, fucking what's it called? The Poconos. It was a total exodus. It's weird because look, I live in New York City, and it's a little odd seeing this sort of happen because, yeah, uh, you know, there's a weird kind of push and pull, and especially from like politicians like Cuomo who are saying like, hey, we want to make sure that the rich stay in New York City because they're the ones that are the majority of our tax base. To which I would say, fuck off, because they're the ones that they avoid paying their taxes anyway. So it doesn't even make sense.
I don't know.
And have you been seeing the same thing in your city as well, Nashua?
A lot of people moved. Rent went down. I would say Toronto rent went down. People contemplated moving. I think a lot of people who are not like from Toronto, and that I have to be transparent, I'm not technically, right? Like I grew up in Florida, but I would say like a lot of people move here after undergrad. Now they're talking about how much they hate the city, which is similar to the New York rhetoric of like what they hate, people who hate New York, but like it's like what do they hate about the city now? And it's like they hate that they can't like go to a patio and have a beer, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. No, it's fucking sick. It's fucking sick to me. So look, in interest of time, why don't we get into the first bit of information here, which we called the surveillance state of things. And I think you'll understand, for those that are listening, you'll understand why we called it that. So let me cue it up here, if I may. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, so this is from the New York Times that came out this week. And the title of the article is Police Drones Are Starting to Think for Themselves. God, this is so dystopian. Look at this. In one Southern Californian city, the flying drones with artificial intelligence are aiding investigations while presenting new civil rights questions. All right, let's get into it.
This is the one I kind of read.
Oh, man.
This one's scary. Okay, yeah, let's get in.
It's shocking. It's shocking. Chula Vista, California. When the Chula Vista police receive a 911 call, they can dispatch a flying drone with the press of a button. On a recent afternoon, from a launch pad on the roof of the Chula Vista Police Department, they sent a drone across the city to a crowded parking lot where a young man was asleep in the front of a stolen car with drug paraphernalia on his lap. When the man left the car carrying a gun and a bag of heroin, a nearby police car had trouble following as he sprinted across the street and ducked behind a wall. But as he threw the gun into a dumpster and hid the bag of heroin, the drone hovering above him caught everything on camera. When he slipped through the back door of a strip mall, exited through the front door, and ran down the sidewalk, it caught that too. Watching on the live video feed, an officer back at headquarters relayed the details to the police on the scene, who soon caught the man and took him into custody. Later, they retrieved the gun and the heroin. And after another press of the button, the drone returned on its own to the roof. How convenient. Each day...
This can't go wrong.
Oh, no,
eventually.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't see the end of Minority Report, but it seemed fine to me. Each day, the Chula Vista police respond to as many as 15 emergency calls with a drone, launching more than 4,100 flights since the program began 2 years ago. Okay. Drone as the first responder. Jesus Christ. So look at these luminaries here. So let's learn how this is kind of operationalized. Right, so over the last several months, 3 other cities, 2 in California, 1 in Georgia, have followed suit. Blah, 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 blah. Rather than spending tens of millions of dollars on large helicopters and pilots, even small police forces could operate tiny autonomous drones for a relative pittance. Now, I don't know about you, Nashua, but that to me seems like a little bit of manufactured consent coming from the New York Times, pitching this as if, hey, this is actually a cost savings. Don't mind the fact that we've been wasting millions of dollars of your municipal funds and tax dollars that could have otherwise been spent on social programs. This is actually good for you.
Yeah, and given like the summer of uprisings where people were asking for reallocation of funds, like it's a little bit egregious. But beyond that, like from an urban planning perspective, we know where they're going to use these drones, right? So like when you think about like population density, when you think about how like this is just another way to hyper surveil very specific communities. And it's like programmed now, which somebody said in the chat, like when racism is algorithms or something. Yeah, to completely like it's part of urban planning too. Like it's just urban planning going AI. Like it's just very weird. But yeah, it's very manufactured consent here though, with the amount of money spent.
I agree with our buddy Line Goes Down because, well, this is an appetizer for the third thing that we're going to talk about, which is going to blow your fucking skulls off. So of course, here we go back at it. The newfound automation, however, raises several liberty concerns. Of course, communities should ask hard questions about these programs as the power and scope of this technology expands. Blah blah blah. Of course, obviously. For the record, this along with any of the Boston Dynamics drones, those weird dog things that you see.
Mm-hmm.
I've said it before.
So
I'll say it again. The only response, if you see one of those things, is to beat its head off with a baseball bat. Like, there's no social purpose for those things, unless they were, like, I don't even know, bringing you a beer in a nursing home. Like, I can't think of another way for it to be of useful. Kick it into traffic. So this also struck me as some unbelievable manufactured consent. With the pandemic still worsening, drones are a way of policing at a distance.
yeah, I saw that. That's unhinged. Like, that's like just so unhinged. Like, oh, thank you. Like, the drone won't give you corona. Like, I don't know.
It's unbelievable. We're making the police beating you to death just a little bit safer. Of course, this is great. That could aid police departments at a time when the number of recruits is on the wane across the country, and many voices are calling for funding cuts after months of protest against police violence.
Oh.
Now, this is interesting to me, this next part, because, again, as is the point of this program, the point of the program is to kind of go a little bit deeper and try to understand some of the political-economic sources of these little sound bites that they say. But this is good. In Chula Vista, drones are already an integral part of the way that police respond to emergencies. After an emergency call comes in, officers give the drone a location, and it flies to that point on its own, before returning on its own, too. But it was a little bit long. Anyway, the department's drones can cover about 1/3 of the city from 2 launch sites. I bet that'll increase. Responding to roughly 70% of all emergency calls. After asking the FAA to approve a third launch site, the local police hope to cover the entire city, about 52 miles.
And the Mexican border.
Exactly.
And the Mexican border.
Now, this was cute to me. Government regulations require that a certified pilot remain on the roof of the police department overseeing the launch, together with a police officer at a command station inside the building, handling most of the flying once the drone reaches its destination. Am I reading this correctly? That a dude just needs to stand on the roof while this thing is like 14 miles away?
Yeah. This is so funny. I'm sorry. Well, he's a pilot. He's a certified pilot.
To stand on a roof and do nothing. Like, this guy has like thousands of hours of training, and he's like trying to, I think I see the dot on the horizon.
Oh, happy birthday, Parlor fan.
Oh, Parlor fan. Oh, happy birthday. Yeah, welcome.
That's really nice.
Welcome to the Rage Roast. So to me, when I read into this, I was like, is this like a union thing where it's like requiring government, it's like a jobs guarantee? That's how I'm reading this. Like, a layman can, without knowing the intimate details of this, can understand that there's no fucking reason for a dude to stand on the roof while the thing is like 10 miles away. He's not doing anything. It's the teenager in the building that is, just got off of a, night of drinking Monster and playing Call of Duty that is now operating the drone from a PlayStation controller inside of the building.
Yeah, I don't know. This is confusing. I'm just reading the chat too right now. There's some interesting comments in there.
What do we got?
There's a global base in Indiana for an Israeli tech company. That's interesting.
That is very interesting. They make drones using AI to capture high-res images and soil data. Who asked for this? Yeah, I mean, what was the thing I was thinking about before? Oh, damn. It'll come to me. So, this is good. Look, Each drone cost the department $35,000. But
that's a lot of money.
It's
that's more than a living wage. That's more than a living wage for a year.
Is for real. What's the federal minimum wage for like a household of 4? Isn't it like $24,000 or something like that?
Yeah, it's like 27 here, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, somebody Canadian check me, but like $35,000, you can live like not lavishly, but you can live. Like people can't get $600 right now.
Exactly. You know, it also just like, to me, goes to like expose the kind of priorities of the state. You know, that like this shit was not put on hold because of all the other, you know, because of coronavirus. Like we have things that we need to do that isn't spending money, you know, making Call of Duty drones operational in neighborhoods where people live. Mm-hmm. Like it seems particularly cruel to me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so.
I like this. An ordinary drone would have crashed by now, guaranteed. I know this is on the West Coast, but I had to give him a Jimmy voice. Jimmy Horst. She said as he watched the video of a drone swooping down into a riverbed and inspecting the inside of a car. Can you, like, okay, often here, living in New York City, I often hear, like, police helicopters overhead, right? And it is terrifying to me, hearing that sound. And especially when you're close to where it's hovering for an extended amount of time. You know, probably to the tune of, like, $5,000 per hour in you know, fuel. But can you imagine the horror of hearing the little buzz of a drone coming closer and closer to you? Like, it is a horror to me that I hope to God I never understand in my life.
Well, I think the kids in northern Waziristan understand. Yes. It's bad.
Yes.
It's obviously bad. Yeah, it's obviously bad. There's like kids who don't go out and play during certain, like when the sky looks certain ways, and they know when drones can fly and can't fly. And
yes.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's bad. Oh, God, I'm sorry. I love this. I love how this is also like a showcase for... Look at this. It's like a showcase for the AI company that has this drone automatically going into this, like, you know, the Tactical Training House 1. It is so funny to me just watching it make this basic maneuver as if this is something we should laud.
Yeah, this is like an advertisement, this article.
It is. And they even name the company that does this. Where is it? Skydio, a Silicon Valley company. It could avoid obstacles on its own thanks to many of the same technologies used by self-driving cars, which is like a camera and like basic information. I think what's funny too is, if I had any advice, if this is, you know, it's all well and good on the West Coast where there's like no weather or whatever, but like my advice in the East Coast is commit crimes when it's raining.
Yeah. I agree. That's when they can't fly. When they can't fly when the skies are gray. When the skies are blue, do not do anything.
No, just enjoy it. Go outside, sit in the park, and you know, when it's raining and it's storming or it's windy in general, I think go for it. So I just want to look down here and see if there was anything in particular that was oh God, we'll just close it out here. What he thinks. These and other technical obstacles will soon be overcome. Drones are like iPhones, he said. As soon as you get a new one arrives with new technology. So to that, when I read that earlier, I was just like, oh, so we're going to be paying an additional $35,000 every time the Silicon Valley company decides that it needs some more dividends for their shareholders. So they're like, oops, we have a new model, and guess what? We're sunsetting the old model. We're no longer going to support it, so you have to spend an additional $35,000. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, you are. There's a Marxist term for this. I'm forgetting it right now. But yeah, you are.
I remember something. You might be quite more learned than I on this, but I remember something in the Communist Manifesto that basically was along the lines of the synthesis is like, capital always uses technology to keep labor on the back foot. Like a constant churning and change of technology in order to stop people from being able to, gain any traction under the current paradigms of the technology that they're using.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you're right. I'm like going to be stuck on this word for a bit, but yeah, they're going to upgrade every few years with $35,000 instead of just like putting that money towards like, I don't know, a community program.
Exactly. Like what would 35 grand do for a public park? Like fucking a lot.
A lot. Yeah, a lot.
Like hire a full-time employee to like clean a public bathroom, maintain a municipal park. Like instead, again, it shows somebody, I forgot who it was that posted this on Twitter. One of my favorite stations, subway stations in New York City is Chambers Street down in Lower Manhattan. It is bad. It is disgusting. It is broken down. There's shit flowing down the walls, and yet there's brand spanking new surveillance cameras on every corner of it. And to me,
Oh yeah, that was on this week.
yes.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
And of course, it just, exposes the fact that those are the priorities of the state. For you to be surveilled and for you not to have the goods that you're entitled to, that your taxpayer dollars fund. So let's move on from this. Thank you for sticking with this surveillance state of things here. And then going back to the UK, there was a stunning article that I saw today or earlier this week, and it needs a little bit of explanation because something that I'm extremely passionate about, and long-term listeners of Eat the Rich and Dwight Spites Live would know this is shipping traffic, shipping vessels, like the supply chain, the international supply chain of the globe. And I read this and I was fucking stunned that the UK would do this, and I'll explain why. Before we do that, we're going to take a look at one of my favorite tools that I want everybody to become familiar with. And tell me in the chat when you can see this. This is a great tool, a great resource called marinetraffic.com. And basically what this shows is the positions of all shipping vessels, at least all those that are on the books, across the globe. And you can see it's stunning what it shows you. Even just like looking in America, you look at the Mississippi River, you look at the Ohio River, you see where it goes to all these barges going up across the Great Lakes. And then, of course, the international shipping lines. Look at this line going into the Panama Canal, vessels going in and out of the locks. And then, of course, across Africa here, going around the Cape of Good Hope, the Gulf of Aden, and the Suez Canal. And then, of course, going in and out of, Hong Kong, around the Cape of India, Australia, Japan, Korea, all that stuff in throughout Europe. And of course, the next coveted piece of shipping lanes would be up in the Arctic, which thanks to climate change is going to liberalize an entire sector of our planet. And then what's important though is if you kind of go close to these, you can click on these. And the reason I wanted to click on these is because here's one. Here's a container vessel, a fucking big one, called Cap San Tainaro, and it is Panama flagged. Let's open up another one. Here's one. Is this the flag of Malta? I think that's the flag of Malta. Click on another one. Here's the flag of Liberia. So this is exactly, I'm so glad I clicked on these because this is exactly what I wanted to demonstrate. Here's a flag of Singapore. Now, why do we bring this up? So the reason we bring this up is that there are specific legalities that you need to register your vessels with. So the flags that you fly, and this is kind of like a very old-timey thing in shipping, the flags that you fly represent the laws under which you're governed when you're not governed by any laws. And very, let's just say, capital-friendly marine laws come from countries such as Malta, Greece, Singapore, Liberia, Panama. They've made themselves havens. it's very possible that none of these vessels will even go anywhere near any of those countries. But yet, let's get into this and let's understand, why did I bring this up?
Yeah, this is the article that I'm excited to do. Well, I'm excited to learn.
This is fascinating to me. Let's remember, for context, what is the UK going through in like 10, 11 days? They're going through like Brexit. What does that mean? It means their entire economy is going to be upended. And all these trade agreements that they had with the European Union, they're going towards a new fucking, just a complete separation, no deal. It's going to be bad. So, what are they thinking about? Well, let's go back to our old tricks. Let's go back to being a dominant shipping country. And we're going to offer the British flag to capital countries that, companies that want to have very favorable legalities when they do their shipping. So let's take a look into this. This is from the Financial Times. It came out earlier this week. The UK is drawing up plans to turn London into a rival of Singapore as a hub for shipping companies to register vessels after the Brexit transition period, according to people briefed on the proposals. Industry bodies and unions have been canvassed over the reform of the shipping industry's so-called tonnage tax after January 1st, 2021, when the UK is no longer subject to the EU's state aid regime on subsidies. The proposals, described as blue sky thinking by one person familiar with their contents, are being developed as UK trade talks reaches a crunch point in Brussels, with the issue of managing Britain's regulatory divergence the biggest bone of contention. According to calculations provided to the government, revamping the UK's shipping tax and regulation regime could be worth £3.7 billion to the economy over 3 years and create 2,500 high-quality jobs directly, as well as 25,000 in related industries. Let's pause there for a second. What, in the grand scheme of things, is £1.3 billion per year? What does that mean to the UK? It's minuscule, comparatively. It's in a country of 66 million Britons. 2,500 jobs? 25,000 jobs? That's pittance. The reason I wanted to show this is because, to me, I'll sum this up. To me, what this shows is like the UK is flailing. They're flailing in how they're reacting to the what the fuck are they going to do? They're trying to think of anything that they can do to make for a successful transition. And this, to me, is just like saying, hey, we're just going to become a tax haven for shipping vessels. Plans due to be submitted to ministers at the Department for Transport last week included expanding the scope of the UK scheme by counting oil rigs as ships for tax purposes. Which is, I'm going to say that again, counting oil rigs as ships for tax purposes, which is not allowed under EU rules controlling the subsidy of maritime transport in order to attract more business. How pathetic is this? How pathetic is this?
It's, yeah, I like, this was the article where I was like, I don't think I have the range for this, but this is like oil rigs as ships. I don't know.
It's fascinating.
Smart loophole, I guess.
It's fascinating to me that they're doing this in front of our faces. I mean, again, this is the kind of point of like, I don't know whether or not it's I don't know if it's proper to describe Boris Johnson and the Tories as kind of like neo-fascist. But, one of the definitions of that is, the turning over of state entities to private corporations. And this, to me, is exemplary of that. It's incredible to me. And then it continues here. A £30 million government-funded scheme to train cadets directly on behalf of shipping companies has also been mooted. They're using government funds to facilitate this. They're taking funds away from the NHS to do this. This to me was just absolutely stunning to me. And here is David Blumenthal, a tax partner with Clyde & Co., who handles tonnage tax issues. He said, the idea is if we're not constrained by EU state aid, we could have more ability to do things, and we could make the UK more attractive to shipping companies. What does it typically mean?
What a goal.
Right?
What a goal. Okay.
What does it typically mean when a country makes themselves more attractive? It means less taxes or less regulations. Both of which we desperately fucking need in many multitudes of reasons, especially during COVID, especially during, an increasing threat of climate change. We need it. I'm stunned. I'm stunned that they did this. Again, if you just like zoom out and just see the sheer scale of a global supply chain, and just understand it's something that you rarely even think about. It's just a stunning amount of business that's being done extremely quietly. And it's something that I think in particular, the left needs to be very passionate about, or at least understand, because this is, shipping fortunes. I want to digress for a second. We often kind of comment and talk about how Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk are the richest people in the world. But I don't think we really understand how much wealth that there actually is that is not on the books, that is not quantified in fucking New York Stock Exchange holdings. I'm talking about shipping magnates that never have their money truly realized because it's not even under their name. It's under some serial number in a Swiss bank. That's the kind of wealth that exists from these multitudes of things, and even I had this thought earlier, and we'll move on to the next thing in a moment, because I'm just like so struck by this. Is like, I was thinking about how I have, I do my banking with a credit union. And I'm thinking about the fact that there is now just basically an oligopoly of large banks, many of which were beneficiaries of our tax breaks and, the TARP program in 2008. All of them, depending on how you define it, can be defined as criminal organizations. It wasn't that long ago that a Chase Manhattan Bank-owned shipping vessel was found with many, many tons of cocaine on it. They're benefiting from that. But of course, we got found out, we got paid a fine, but what else? How do you think these are being financed? How do you think that these are being facilitated financially? There's no bit of good that goes from one port to the other. And maybe we could do like in Dwight's Bites, maybe we could do like another kind of like a shipping primer or something like that. We can go through this, but nothing goes from one port to the other without the surveillance of some bank, either through a letter of credit or payment terms, or a credit rating agency understanding the credit worthiness of a buyer or the credit worthiness of a seller. All of this is facilitated through banks. So when you look at this, understand who the beneficiaries of this system is. That's kind of the point that I wanted to impart about this issue. Yikes. Yes, thank you to Stolen Prayers for understanding how obsessed.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I learned a lot. The passion. You brought the passion.
Oh man, I mean, look at it's even just amazing to me. Even if we just like zoom in on something that's coming into New York Harbor, like right now, something that's only a few miles away from me. Here's a okay, that's a sailing vessel. Bad. Go home. It's fucking cold. Oh, there's the Staten Island ferry. Yeah, here's one. Here's an oil tanker coming from SWN C. Warren. Where is that? I'm sorry. This is just like absolutely facet. Oh, it's coming from Jersey. Hey, what's up? It's a Greek. Why is a Greek flagged vessel going from New Jersey to New York City full of oil? Why is it flagged in Greece? Again, it's beneficial to the company that owns it.
Yeah, make the Care about boats instead of trains. Or
Thank you.
both. Both.
Thank you. So let's see here. Let me just give me a moment to have a Marco Rubio drink of water here, if you won't mind. All right. So let's get in the meat and potatoes of this episode here. You're not just cash poor, you're data poor. What's that about? I'm debating whether or not I wanted to tell a personal anecdote about this. I think I'll save it. It's not important. No one gives a shit. Let's talk about this. MIT Technology Review. The coming war on the hidden algorithms that trap people in poverty. A growing group of lawyers are uncovering, navigating, and fighting the automated systems that deny the poor housing, jobs, and basic services. So basically, this came out earlier this month, written by Daniel Zender. They tell a story here about basically financial abuse within a marriage. They talk about a person named Miriam and who being married to an older person named Nick. And basically they tell a story about how he took her credit and fucked it and just totally, ran up tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt in her name. He got by the FBI, wire fraud, tens of thousands of dollars debt, blah, blah, blah. He went to prison. She was left with, and I'm just skipping ahead here, I had $250 in cash, a house in full foreclosure, a car up for repossession, and 3 kids. I went within a month from having a nanny and living in a nice house and everything to just really abject poverty. So let's get into this and let's just kind of like dissect this together. Credit scoring algorithms are not the only ones that affect people's economic well-being and access to basic services. Algorithms now decide which children enter foster care, which patients receive medical care, which families get access to stable housing. Those of us with means can pass our lives unaware of any of this, but for low-income individuals, the rapid growth and adoption of automated decision-making systems has created a hidden web of interlocking traps. And I love the way that they explain that, because I think that's absolutely apt to explain what this is. Fortunately, a growing group of civil lawyers are beginning to organize around this issue, borrowing a playbook from the criminal defense world's pushback against risk assessment algorithms. That is some Minority Report shit. Line goes down. I told you we'd fucking make good on our promise earlier this episode. Where are we now? They're seeking to educate themselves on these systems, build a community, and develop litigation strategies. Basically, every civil lawyer is starting to deal with this stuff because of all our clients are in some way or another being touched by these systems, said Michelle Gilman, a clinical law professor at University of Baltimore. We need to wake up, get training. If we really want to be good holistic lawyers, we need to be aware of that. So I found this to be fascinating, and there's a specific example that they give, and I just really want everyone to truly appreciate just how deleterious it is in such a silent way. Gilman has been practicing law in Baltimore for 20 years. In her work as a civil lawyer and a poverty lawyer, her cases have always come down to the same things: representing people who have lost basic access to basic needs like housing, food, education, work, or healthcare. Sometimes that means facing off with a government agency. Other times, it's with a credit reporting agency or a landlord. Increasingly, the fight over clients' eligibility now involves some kind of algorithm. What the fuck? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, like, I don't know. It's just very interesting when people say we don't really have social credit. This is social credit.
Yes.
If you think about like social determinants of health, yeah, this is social credit in a way, but different. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, keep going. I'm just like, I hate credit.
Firstly, there's no reason for us to have ourselves boiled down to a credit reporting agency, right? And to a credit score, to a number. What the hell? Why does that make sense? That blows my mind. But anyway, we'll continue on here. This is happening across the board to our clients, she says. They're so enmeshed in many different algorithms that are barring them from basic services, and the clients may not be aware from that because a lot of these systems are invisible. She doesn't remember exactly when she realized that some eligibility decisions were being made by algorithms, but when that transition first started happening, it was rarely obvious. Once she was representing an elderly, disabled client who had inexplicably been cut off from her Medicaid-funded home health care assistance. Right? Just picture that person in your head. Picture that person in your head. We couldn't find out why. She was getting sicker, and normally if you get sicker, you get more hours, not less. Not until they were standing in the courtroom in the middle of a hearing did the witness representing the state reveal that the government had just adopted a new algorithm. The witness, a nurse, couldn't explain anything about it. Of course not. They bought it off the shelf. What she means by that is like this was a system purchased by, a third party, like a private company that, is being paid to manage these things. She's a nurse, not a computer scientist. She couldn't answer the factors that go into it. How is it weighted? What are the outcomes that you're looking for? So there I am with my student attorney who's in my clinic with me, and it's like, oh, I'm going to cross-examine an algorithm? And it's completely opaque. That's what's so mind-blowing to me. So it goes on to talk about this gentleman, Kevin Lieben, an attorney at Legal Aid of Arkansas. The change was equally insidious. In 2014, his state also instituted a new system for distributing Medicaid-funded in-home assistance, cutting off a whole host of people who had previously been eligible. At the time, he and his colleagues couldn't identify the root problem. They only knew that something was different. We could recognize that there was a change in assessment systems from a 20-question paper questionnaire to a 283-question electronic questionnaire.
Can I ask a very Canadian question?
Oh, please.
From what I remember, Medicaid, it's based on income, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? And I know each state has like different types of Medicaid and what it covers. Like I've heard
yes,
Minnesota's is very quote unquote good. So, okay, if somebody can't get home nursing care because of Medicaid, because of their Medicaid eligibility, and it's not based on income, it's based on their credit. Does this make any, am I asking a dumb question? This doesn't make sense to me.
No, I don't think necessarily, I don't think that this particular thing with Medicaid has an intersectionality with credit.
It's just the eligibility got shifted.
Yes.
The algorithms. Okay, good. Okay, because I was like,
just think of the barrier to entry for those that are eligible for Medicaid to being able to fill out something online, like a 283-question electronic questionnaire. That's insurmountable to me.
Well, it's like, who has that time? But also, many people. So, I moved from Florida, whatever, years ago. But computer access is still an issue there when I go there.
Right.
It's just not a thing. Even I don't even know how people are doing schooling during COVID there. Where I'm from.
Oh,
it's just not a thing. Not every household has a computer. The libraries, you literally write your name on a sheet of paper to get 30 minutes. Let's on a computer.
Let's put this into scale for a second, right? 1 in 5 American children are hungry. As they say, food insecure. So how are these algorithms going to be adaptive to that?
Mm-hmm.
Again, it just shows to me the priority of the state. So this is the part that really just got me, especially as we're just talking straight up consumer sort of issues with this. Gilman has since grown a lot more savvy. From her vantage point representing clients with a range of issues, she's observed the rise and collision of 2 algorithmic webs. The first consists of credit reporting algorithms, fuck that, like the ones that ensnared Miriam, the woman in the beginning of the story, which affect access to private goods and services like cars, homes, and employment, right? I mean, let's use this for a second. If you want to get a home, even if it's just okay, let's say you want to get a home, you have to apply for a mortgage, right? Obviously, if you
Hmm.
have the money to just pay for a home outright out of your pocket, you don't interact with these algorithms, right? You just
Yeah.
give a bank money and they sell you the home, right? So again, right off the bat, we're talking about a subsect of people that cannot afford not to interact with these algorithms. If you want to go through a landlord company, most landlord companies have like a application process. Those check your credit score, they check your rental history, they might check your legal history, your arrests and all that shit. And if there are too many risk factors based off of that specific weighted algorithm, like maybe they say, any amount of legal infractions is automatically disqualifiable. So if you get any increase of your number within their proprietary algorithm of, let's say, a legal issue in your past, then you're kicked out.
Yeah, the somebody just pointed out how it's a way to pretend to be objective. I think so. Yeah, it
Yes.
100% is when you say it's like done by a computer.
Well said. Oh, it's Justin.
Um,
Yeah. That's what blows my mind, and I've discussed this on Eat the Rich before, about, and I don't really like to kind of talk about the conversations that happened in the privacy of DMs because just out of nobility or something, duty. But the private DM that I had with fuck is his name, who was Obama's ambassador to Russia? Oh fuck,
this
Michael
is like
McFaul.
trivia now.
Michael McFaul.
Okay.
Michael McFaul. I DM'd him because he said something. He was saying we need to believe science. We need to believe Donald Trump. And I was just like, well, science is not unbiased. And he went off on me in the DMs in the DM, and he was just like, science is fact, clear cut, black and white. The science is the facts. You believe the facts. If you don't, you're a fascist, or whatever he said. I don't remember. But I was like, well, that's not true at all. Science is absolutely biased. Science could be absolutely racist if experiments are being done, by a specific set of people that have access to, the scientific method. Like, of course, it's going to be biased. Anyway, let's continue here and finish this up in interest of time. On the credit reporting side, the growth of algorithms has been driven by the proliferation of data, which is easier than ever to collect and share. Yeah. Credit reports aren't new, but these days their footprint is far more expansive. Consumer reporting agencies, including credit bureaus, hint, in our socialist revolution, they should be all fucking dissolved on like day one. Tenant screening companies or check verification services amass this information from a wide range of sources: public records, social media, web browsing, banking activity, app usage, and more. And don't think for a second that when they say social media, it doesn't mean somebody's just like looking for your name and seeing if you posted pics of throwing a paint can into a bonfire or something like that, right? Like, it's Facebook sells this data to these companies. It's part of the financialization of your data. Jeez, I'm so struck by this shit, man.
I like, I don't know. I think it's just really interesting when Lando the Free does shit like this. This is like, I don't know.
Why? Because it's like, America purports to be this kind of land of radical self-determination when literally
Yeah.
everything but in its operationalization.
Yeah, like you can't post Pooh Bear on what happened this week? That senator from Georgia, she's like, our freedoms are being restricted, and like tweeted that ridiculous photo of do you know what I'm talking about? I'm too
No,
online.
Kelly Loeffler.
No, the one who like won, and she posted Winnie the Pooh. She posted like a Winnie the Pooh meme, but like she photoshopped a Chinese world leader's head on it.
What the fuck?
Oh, geez.
What was?
Wait.
Why? What the
This is
hell
like,
does that
I'm
even
being so
mean?
online. I'm like being disruptive. I'm being so disruptive right now.
Everybody's right. Every single person Everybody's right. Every single person in the chat right now is extremely online, so this is very relevant to their interests. What
This
does
is
that?
like, I'm being so disruptive.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, but just like I'm thinking about, well, she said freedom of speech is being able to tweet this. Well, you can't even be free here. Your data will get scraped. I don't know.
That
I just think
image.
it's funny when they talk about social credit and all this stuff, and other countries don't have like the ability to do all this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, Poozy. Yeah, exactly. Like I just sounded so like dumb trying to explain this, but like everybody understood what I meant, I think.
Yes. Which is hilarious because like that now is like literally intellectual property owned by Twitter just by virtue of the fact that she posted it on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. So like I don't know. I just think it's funny when America can, I don't know, you can't get a nurse to come to your house because your 260 questionnaire didn't pass the new Medicaid algorithm test.
Exactly. So let's close this up because this is just, I think everybody's probably just roasting over this one. If a client is denied an apartment because of a poor credit score, for example, the report recommends that a lawyer first check whether the data being fed into the scoring system is accurate. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, reporting agencies are required to ensure the validity of their information, but this doesn't always happen. Disputing any faulty claims could help restore the client's credit and thus access to housing. The report acknowledges, however, that existing laws can only go so far. There are still regulatory gaps to fill. Yes, obviously. Geez, this was just so sick at the end. You know, again, going back to the poor woman who had her identity stolen from her spouse, says Miriam still has to stay vigilant. Nick has her social security number, and they're not yet divorced. She worries constantly that he could open more accounts, take out more loans in her name. For a while, she checked her credit report daily for fraudulent activity. Jesus, how stressful is that?
That's like, yeah, that's mentally exhausting.
It's abuse. Like, it's abuse. But these days, she also has something forward to look to. Her dad, in his mid-60s, wants to retire and move in. Oh, this is so sick. I mean, that's nice, but like, you know, like the American dream is to like stand on your own, right? And like not have to live in a multifamily house. I mean, I guess that's just dead now. I guess that's what it... Anyway, she says, I'm pretty psyched about it. My goal is by the end of the year to get to a 700, she says of her score. And then I am definitely home buyer ready. I am just... Oh, thank you, IZ Dreamberg. Not a chance. This is what like really just blows my mind, is that she's curtailing her life to appease, as a friend of the show said, the unblinking rictus of capital. Like just the algorithm, a dead-eyed, unfeeling, like orb that just exists not even in form. Like I yes, thank you, Justin, the panopticon. I find that to be positively terrifying.
I feel awful for her, but like she's not the only one, obviously. But just I'm stuck on the Medicaid thing. Sorry, I'm stuck on that. Denying like nursing home care.
Yes. What strikes you about that? Like what that specifically? Is it because it's government run and it should be better?
I just think it's so much simpler if somebody's under a certain income level, they just get, well, I think everybody should get healthcare, obviously.
Right.
But like if you're going to be in a system where like a certain amount of people get healthcare based on income or something, well, this was a big argument during the primaries, right? I saw people being like, oh, well, poor people have Medicaid, and then people have to explain how many people fall through the cracks. And I think it's absurd that like people always are like, oh, Medicaid, 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 but like so many people fall through the cracks, right?
Yes.
But now it's like, I guess it's a program to fall through the cracks. And who's going to fill out, like, that's like a big thing, right? So sorry, I'm going on like on a tangent, but like just one
Please.
last thing, like during the uprisings that occurred in the summer, there was a governor who announced that he was going to send a bunch of social workers to help Black communities fill out Medicaid forms and like make sure that they're actually covered because they're qualified. And like paperwork is just such a barrier, which you kind of touched on before.
Yes.
And it's just like, if you just have a universal healthcare system, it literally would not matter.
Yes.
But like, I know I'm being like very utopian here, I guess. But like, it's just like absurd. Like, why does there need to be like a 200, whatever? There shouldn't be questionnaires. It should just be like, if our state has Medicaid and you make less than $19,000, you get it.
Right. Well,
Yeah, yeah, I understand that the states have to pay for most of their Medicaid. I get it, but like it's just absurd. Like I don't know. I think I've been spoiled in Canada, even though Canada has issues, but
yeah.
it's just
I don't think at all that it's bad to kind of outline a utopian vision, because I think obviously, and literally as I speak I'm being guilty of this, is that like the left is we have like an attractiveness problem, because like we just are mad and angry all the time. It's like,
yeah.
why is that why would that be compelling? I forget. I was at some talk and somebody said that he grew up, he was like a red diaper baby. He grew up like in the Communist Party. His dad was in the Communist Party. And he remembers as a kid hearing a motivating speech that one of the communists was giving, and the guy was like, "This person was jailed for no reason. This other comrade was killed. Join the Communist Party." It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. It doesn't sound so good. But, I think that you outlining that utopian vision is actually quite important, and I'll echo, my co-host Shane on Eat the Rich about this, where he's like, when we talk about, let's just call it advertising for, let's just say, labor-friendly things, it's like, I think he gave an example of like McDonald's will show, hey, don't worry about trying to cook and shop and stuff like that. Go buy a Big Mac for your family, and then you'll be skipping in a park. It's like the same thing with like Medicare for all. Like this poor or a program where we dissolve all of these credit reporting agencies and we don't need to, bow down to banks in order to get the things that we need. It's like the messaging should be, imagine what you could do with your time if you didn't have to spend it on the phone with an insurance company to try to get, life-saving healthcare. Or imagine not spending time filling out 283 questions on a computer, and then it times out, and then you have to start it all over again, and then you have to sign back in, but you forgot your password. You couldn't remember which special character you had at the end of it and all that shit. All that stuff is such a time sink and such an opportunity cost that takes away from the things that you should be doing, which is living a fucking fulfilled life.
Yeah, it's to grind people down. It's not only to grind people, like, I don't know, left needs to sometimes work on like the idea of suspending damage. We can move to the last article because it's happier, which is suspending damage. But like, yeah, we don't need deficit narratives all the time. There's so much joy and like potential and movement building. And like you said, like, there's no way you're going to recruit people if you're like, oh, this comrade died. Like, there's also like small victories you have to celebrate, right?
Yes.
I don't know.
So to that point, let's move on to the last bit of this. I like the way that this was phrased: a breakthrough without breaking ground. From Australia. I mean, before I talk about this, those Eat the Rich listeners that will listen to the holiday special that we're putting out this week, our good friend Carrie joined us to talk about that. I won't spoil it. But what I wanted to say was that Australia is the nexus of just an enormous amount of land rights issues as it pertains to like mining. Iron ore, asbestos, and coal is a big one. That's, again, for those that remember our episode about the rich boys of the Democratic primary. I think I was the one that talked about Tom Steyer, which everyone thought was real cute and cool for hanging out with
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders. But he spent a majority of his career enriching himself to the tune of billions of dollars, especially marketing coal and owning coal mines in Australia. But as it suggests here, activists hail historic win as New South Wales Environment Court rejects Bylong Valley coal mine. KEPCO had appealed against decision to refuse development proposal to extract 120 million tons of coal over 25 years. If you just stop for a second, and this really just blows my mind. Am I fucking crazy, or is it not well documented that carbon will kill us?
Yeah.
Like, am I being reductive?
No.
Right? We should be engaging in no activities that are the things that are going to kill us. Am I crazy in thinking this?
No, but you're not thinking about the dollar bills. You're not thinking about the money, the
Shit,
temporary
you are right.
money.
You're right about that.
For
I'm not thinking about that.
5 people.
Oh, it's so true. Hello, John Brown. Yeah, carbon is going to make some of us extremely wealthy. So look, let's just go through this quickly, because although this isn't exactly, just to cut to the chase, this isn't exactly like, a lot of people didn't chain themselves to, bulldozers and excavators to accomplish this. This was more of like a legal challenge, which I think is one of many prongs that we must use in order to accomplish these goals of decarbonizing our economy. But let's just continue here and let's read through this and understand what happened. The development of an underground and open-cut coal mine in the Bylong Valley will not, I have to do the Australian shit, will not be allowed to proceed after the ruling in the New South Wales Land and Environment Court. In what environmental campaigners describe as a historic win, the court on Friday upheld a decision by the state's Independent Planning Commission to reject KEPCO's proposal for a mine that would extract up to 120, I just can't get over that number, 120 million tons of coal over 25 years for export. And that's the thing. It's not even like they were using it for Australian purposes.
Yeah, but that's like the same garbage in Canada, right? It's the same. I know. It's jarring.
And
You're not even using it. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder who is going to benefit from this.
I mean, literally, like, okay, where's fucking New South Wales? Right? Here's a big Port of Newcastle. Like, all of these things.
Back to the map.
Yes, here's a Liberian flagged bulk carrier. This is exactly the kind of thing that would be picking up this shit, right? And where's it going? It came from it's Taiwan, I think, and then came to Newcastle in New South Wales. Here's another huge bulk carrier. This is where the shit's going. And where's it going? It's going this way. It's going that way. It's on its way to China, Southeast Asia, Philippines. A huge partnerships between China and Australia for to manufacture this ore into things that we fucking use. Again, but for whose benefit? Why? I'm so mad. I'm just.
You should be mad. It's just sort of ridiculous. Well, no, you should be mad that it was supposed to happen, but it's not happening.
Yes. All right, so let's just get through this here for in the interest of time. The IPC refused the development approval for the project last year, citing the unacceptable impact the mine would have on the environment, namely killing human race, including through greenhouse gas emissions and the costs of future generations. Yes, I hope that sets a precedent. KEPCO appealed against the decision, and a community group, the Bylong Valley Protection Alliance, successfully argued to join in the case and defend the IPC's ruling after the commission itself declined to take an active role in the proceedings. Anyway, look, we don't have to. I don't think it serves us well to go through every little bit of these kind of like back and forths within, the Canadian, the Australian court system. I think what we need to understand is that these things set a precedent, a very important precedent, especially in the in a country where there are enormous issues with rights, land rights and mineral rights. Keep this shit in the ground. Like, I don't know any other way to say it. Keep this shit in the ground.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, currently I'm not as well versed right now in any cases going on in the US, but in Canada, I think, the big ones that are going on right now, there's not as many victories. So it's kind of inspiring to see this. And like, people are putting their bodies on the line. This one was won in the court. So I think saying it's a one prong is really interesting, actually.
Yes. I'm sorry. And I also feel like I'm missing valuable Kardashian discourse in the chat.
There's only one thing I know, like solidly, and it's that Kendall Jenner did the Pepsi commercial. And there's something about the Soviets and Pepsi versus Coke. I don't know. What's Dwight, Coke or Pepsi?
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Well, okay, the real answer is neither, because I'm really embarrassed to say this, but I've been caffeine free for like 2 years.
That's okay.
Oh man,
I respect it.
Well,
good for you.
I miss it. I mean, I miss a Coke, right? It's so. I mean, specifically a Mexican Coke, because it's made with sugar rather than high fructose corn syrup. I mean that, with some tacos al pastor. I mean, fuck, man, it doesn't really get better than that. Squeeze a lime, forget it. It's the best. It's
like the best. I respect that you haven't been able to have one in 2 years, like that you've done it, but sorry, I'm derailing your own show.
No, that's it.
That's what you missed in the thing. No, it's nice. It's nice to see a win, and I hope that can transcend to other places. Because we're seeing pipelines pop up everywhere. Not that pipelines are the same as mines, but same shit hurting the environment. But
yeah, and of course, for those who haven't listened to the recent Eat the Rich episode where we discussed the Biden cabinet, I mean, the proposed and nominated incoming Biden cabinet, Susan Rice owns $600,000 worth of shares of what is it, TransCanada, that owns the Keystone XL pipeline?
Yeah, I think so.
So, like,
she's entangled up here. Yeah.
Oh God, it's just so bad.
Yeah. You're not happy that there's women and people of color? Like,
shame on me.
That cabinet? No.
Shame on me.
The most diverse cabinet.
I want to be, killed and maimed by the state that is, representative of everybody that's underrepresented.
I've always wanted somebody who vaguely looks like me to kill me. I think it's great. That's what I've always wanted.
Everybody knows the thing we've learned the most over the last 20 years is that, underrepresented faces in high places equals structural change. That's how it works.
It's going to be fun. Sorry, we're just like still chatting and it's your stream and I took over a little.
No, this is what we're here for.
Well, like my thing is like, do you think Biden can make it 4 years? I think Kamala is going to be president. I do not think he can live 4 years. I don't think he has 4 years in him.
I don't think he does either. I mean, you figure you spend a majority of your youth, eulogizing and fawning over segregationists. That's gotta take some years off the life, right?
Yeah. Have you seen his facelift scar?
Oh yeah.
He's facelift scar.
He's had work done. He's had a lot of work done. I'm gonna say he's had his eyes done. He's definitely had his teeth done. I think there might have been a little cheek work. And and then the plugs, of course, the hair plugs. He's had that for decades.
I just think there's a point where you get a certain amount of work done on your body that it's going to give. He twisted his ankle walking his dog. Kamala's going to be president. I want to place bets with people. I think it'd be really fun to do a version of fantasy football where we where we just like place bets on when he's gonna die and make money off of it a little bit or something.
Yes.
Like left Twitter has been fighting too much. Like let's have some fun.
We can
like
get
I want to
together
have some
around
fun.
a pool of some light gambling.
Yeah, like I think I'm gonna give him 1 year and like 2 months. How about you?
So that's putting us, let's call it March 2022.
Yeah.
All right. So let's think about it. That's like right after the second State of the Union. I wonder. Ooh. It's. Ooh. I see him like dying mid sentence. He's gonna 100% chance that he's gonna bring back the White House press correspondents dinner. Like there's 100% chance, because the most important thing that, the liberal, whatever definition there is for a liberal project, but like the most important thing for them is to be chummy with like media types and stuff like that. That's like, they want that more than anything, for like Rachel Maddow and Anderson Cooper to have like, a bottle of $18 Cabernet on their table and not drink it at all because it stains their teeth. Like, and those events are going to be what they want to bring back most. So I see him dying at that. I almost want to say the first one. Maybe he only gets a few months out of the gate. I mean, the man's 78, and I think like the problem with him is that he has, in my opinion, he has no ideology. Like there's no larger project that he is working towards. His entire role is just to like facilitate his moneyed interests, and he's done that from the beginning of like his first, his Senate stint, where he hired a bunch of Dow Chemical folks back home from Delaware as his staff. And I just, I say that to say, like, I don't think the stress of the office is going to wear on him. Do you know what I mean?
Because he's just like meandering through life.
Yeah. He is.
he's just like, yeah. I don't know. I think his dementia is really going to kick in like Feinstein, and I think it's gonna be really hard to hide it, and then they're just gonna like kill him or something. I don't know. Like, yeah, the tripping over his dog thing. Like, I just think his body. You're right, 78. Yeah, you're giving. I thought that I'm being generous with the amount of time I'm betting on this.
I also think that there's like, yeah, no, I like the way that you put it, that he's just like kind of cruising through and skipping through life. I don't know any better example of like white privilege than Joe Biden winning the presidency, not even campaigning. Like, he literally, for 80% of the time, between winning the Democratic nomination and winning the general election, 80% of the time was literally spent underground in his basement. And he won. He's president. Like, what else do we need to explain? How much privilege there is in his position.
Like, I don't know if he'll even like know he's president at some moment. Somebody said it in the chat. But like, yeah, maybe they'll pump him with medicine. But like, do you think Kamala can run for? Okay, let's say he lives the 4 years. Can Kamala successfully run for president next?
I think about like Macron in France, because like it was a squeaker in the general election between him and Le Pen, and who was an outright fascist. And I think the best that the kind of neoliberal consensus has to offer is just staving off fascism for a few years. But ultimately, the grievances are still there. And I was thinking about this today. His big thing is like, we're going to heal the country. We're going to bring folks together. We're going to heal. We're going to unite as one people. We're all Americans. I don't see a red state, a blue state. I see United States. I think I'm borrowing that. I think it was Obama, like the
No, he used it too though.
yeah.
They use the same Marshall Gans method of speech writing, right? In storytelling.
What is that?
It's a methodology that I've talked about a bit on my old podcast where I'm trained in it, so I can tell when it's going on. But yeah, it's just a story structure. It's like the story of you individually, and then the story of us, and then like the story of like all. Yeah, it's just weird. But anyways, you're correct. Both of them have used that.
Interesting. But like, here's the thing. I do not want to get along with fascists. Forgive me for being intolerant, but I don't want to get along with fascists. I want to redacted, unactionable parody them. Like,
Hold hands. No.
like I don't understand, and I'm sure from their point of view, from whatever, the like when they hear Joe Biden say, we want to, we got to get together, and everyone's fine. Like, do the fascists hear that? Do the white nationalists hear that? And they're like, I want to get together and hold hands with the people that I don't even think are human, or Antifa, or, BLM protesters. They don't want that shit.
But that's why the right always wins. I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yes.
They know how to win.
Of course
they know how to win because they don't like do the like weird platitudes or feelings.
Yes. And it's also, of course, the right also has what, the neoliberal consensus does not have, which is a larger ideological project that they're working towards. Like,
yeah.
Mitch McConnell wakes up every day and he knows what he's doing.
He like also looks like shit. He also looks like he's gonna die.
Oh,
yeah, but he knows what he's doing. Like, yes. That's the problem. I'm like, how like do they have like these corpses who are like more like serious about like winning and like gaining anything than anyone on like even like center lib. Yeah, libs are so afraid of taking any stance. Libs don't know how to hold a position. Like, they don't have a goal, like you said. Like, I just don't know. They just like media, and they like being like, we're better. Like, at least we're not rude when they like drone people.
Yes. Oh, fuck. And this goes to the thing which I mentioned to that I wanted for us to bring up in the introductory remarks. I think one of the scariest things that we have going against us right now is the kind of head in the sand thing that liberals are going to do on January 20th. They're going to say, we won. We have the smart, diverse people in charge, and we don't need to think about anything, because they've been exhausted by having to think about the Orange Man for the last 4 years, and they want to go back to not thinking about the president every day. But conservatives and neo-fascists and Nazis and white nationalists, they're going to be thinking about the president every day. They're going to continue to come up with like kidnapping plans for like people in high office. That's not going to stop. And the lack of liberal energy that we won't be able to harness because of their complacency is going to stop us from doing the following. Anything short of a massive reparations program that the Democrats should do is insufficient. There have been countless groups, dare I say nearly every American except for those that represent capital, have been harmed by the Trump administration over the last 4 years. Anything short of a massive reparations program to create justice, restorative justice, for those wounds that were inflicted is insufficient. Anything short of it. They will be in charge of the House, who controls the purse strings, and the executive branch, who can execute the laws. Yes, the Senate are going to be a bunch of fucking stick in the muds, but they could not be if liberals who have the critical mass to do another women's march, or to do, dare I say, a general strike. They have the critical mass that we need, and yet they're so excited not to be thinking about any of this stuff. And that, to me, is terrifying. That's a terrifying prospect.
Do you think Trump could have won if his response to coronavirus was even a little bit better?
Absolutely.
And do you think that because the liberals will be like resting on their laurels during this like 4-year period with Biden Harris, that like white supremacists and fascists will like build power again and like run another candidate that will be successful?
I yes, and I'm going to echo what Deducta is saying in our chat, which is fascist street violence going to keep going on after the inauguration day, and Joe ain't going to do a thing about it except wring his hand
Mm-hmm.
and say, "Come on, man." Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think too. I think there's something that's clearly been tapped into that's not going to suddenly disappear. And like liberals aren't good at like taking that seriously and like reckoning with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the 2K checks. Yeah, that was in the news like what 2 days ago that like Donald Trump wanted to give checks up to 2K and his
Yes.
aides like sabotaged him.
Uh, like the fact that to also go back to your first question about whether or not Trump could have won if he did anything remotely helpful for the American population due to COVID. The fact that the election was so close
Oh,
and
that was wild.
300,000 people are dead. One in 500 New Jersey residents are dead due to COVID. Like, what else? And it was close. It was close. Like, Democrats have such little self awareness to know just how fucking tainted their brand is. Nobody likes them.
They don't relate to normal people. Like I don't know, Florida. So people voted past the $15 minimum wage, and then I saw like quote unquote leftists, but I call them like library leftists or whatever, armchair leftists who like don't talk to like working people or organize or like do door
Yes.
knocking or anything. We're like, oh, how do Floridians vote for the $15 minimum wage, but they're a red state? And it's because people can be materially interested in making more money. Like that's very normal, but that doesn't mean like that like Nancy Pelosi is a relatable figure to the average person in Florida working a job grinding down their body in like the tourist industry or something. Nancy
Yes.
Pelosi is not relatable. None of these people are really relatable.
No. Literally, Nancy Pelosi went on James Corden in like month 2 of the lockdown and showed her $35,000 worth of like Sub-Zero refrigerators and being like, "How am I getting by? I'm eating ice cream."
Oh yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
And it was like this expensive ice cream that like I don't even think I can find it here, but like even if like I'm in the States, like where do you find Jenny's?
Oh, I don't know. I'm a Haagen-Dazs man.
Okay. The more accessible ice cream.
I mean, it's like, $7-8 a pint. But yeah, their brand is so tainted. In fact, you're reminded when you talk about door knocking. You reminded me of I said I wouldn't do personal anecdotes, but I was door knocking in Queens for Tiffany Caban, who was running for Queens DA, and
Very cool.
I remember knocking on a door. I don't even remember if the woman that was there. I don't even remember if she was the person that I was supposed to be there to interact with from minivan or whatever. But she said I was there. Hey, this is Dwight from DSA or whatever. I'm here to. She was like, I don't know nothing about politics. I don't know anything about that. Like, no, whatever. And I was just like, all right, that's cool. That's cool. Well, here, let me leave this pamphlet. And as I'm walking away, and this would have been in 2017, maybe.
Hmm.
And then as I'm walking away, she was like, except for Bernie Sanders. I like Bernie Sanders. I like that guy. He makes a lot of sense. And I'm like, what a perfect and pure example of somebody that was like not thinking about things in terms of like party, but literally just like, oh, that guy wants to give me the good thing that I need.
Yeah, I think that's the appeal Bernie had to a lot of people that I talked to too. So I did Dems Abroad stuff, and yeah, people were very much like Bernie is not like the rest of them, and that's because I think it's also like the way he talks, what he cares about, the coalitions he built.
Yes.
Um, Yeah, I know which episode of Eat the Rich people are talking about in the chat too. That's like the first one I listened to.
Oh, the
Wasn't it about like the ducks and like the little, not the ducks, the chickens and like the
yes,
little piece that the French would throw away the whole chicken, but they
yep,
just eat that little piece?
yep,
Yeah, that disgusted me.
yep. It was like it was. I think it was like in the at Versailles or whatever. They were, yeah, exactly as Justin was saying here. There was this little piece, this fatty shit. I don't know. It's some French shit. That they were there like eat this piece of fat under a chicken's wing, and they were throwing the whole chicken because they had discarding the rest of the chicken, save for this little piece that they were using to have. And as Shane said, you know, it was just a little while later that their heads were separated from their necks.
Yeah, like alleged, like I don't know, parody, bring back that energy.
Yeah, yeah, parody
Like,
allegedly, but that was very interesting. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that like income inequality levels were not that dissimilar then than they are now.
yeah, well, like you guys have gone down there for like what, 9 months with just one $1,200 check?
Oh, that's right. Yes, that's
That's
correct.
that's like I don't know, not that I'm still getting anything from Mr. Trudeau, but I did for a bit there. There
Yeah.
were more, thankfully.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
I'm just on EI, but um the income levels are worse now, are they? I remember.
Oh,
Anyone know the episode?
oh,
I
God, and
don't
I'm
know.
I'm such a bad
I just listened
host.
to this episode.
It was an
I'm like a
early
bad
one.
listener.
It was an early one, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, not everyone got a $1,200 check. Yeah, I figured because Dems abroad were arguing with me about can we get one or not.
Really?
That's messed up though. Yeah, so they fought for the right for Democratic Americans abroad to get the check, but then not everybody qualified.
That's
Um,
so sick.
yeah, even though I still have to pay taxes there. I still have to pay taxes in Florida, but I didn't get my 1,200. Whatever.
Isn't there no state income tax in Florida, but you have to pay federal taxes?
Or like I think I'm paying federal then. Yeah, I'm doing something.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I'm giving some money. I'm doing something that I have to do every year if I want to stay, I guess, safe.
In fairness, I've managed to fuck up my taxes pretty much every year of my adult life, so it's not that. Don't
I
feel
don't know.
bad.
I mess up my American. I mean, I mess up my Canadian ones. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that story was a good anecdote. You should have shared more of them. But yeah, I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
the Tiffany
Yeah,
convention.
like
Oh yeah.
yeah, like it makes sense. Bernie is different. Like he was different, and I know that people think that like the left who love Bernie just like lingers and like sits in our like sadness and sulkiness about it. But I don't imagine in 4 years we're going to get another candidate with that consistency and that history. And that makes me really sad right now for like, how do we
Yes.
build forward? How do we
Yes.
build when we don't have somebody right now?
I don't want to
Like,
go to jail.
I'm sorry. I'm like, it's just like, how, like, who do we have for like to run in 4 years?
Oh, literally no one. I mean,
Like,
uh, like you know, who do I like? Like, who do I like as far as Democrats go? Yeah, I like Ilhan Omar. I like Rashida Tlaib. I
the
like,
Muslims,
yeah.
the Muslim
Oh, yeah.
women.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, they fucking rule, and they actually have like guts, and you know they aren't. Yeah, I like AOC too, obviously. But you know, as far as kind of national leaders, they get it. They get it. Um, but they're not going to win a Democratic nomination in 4 years. And anyway, I think Chris also mentions this a few times in Eat the Rich, which is like, you know, the horrifying thought that it might be 12 years before the left has a say again. Because if you imagine, okay, look, we're only getting Biden for one term. Let's be clear about it. I mean, he would be fucking 82 by the time, you know, he's running again. So let's say Kamala wins, and let's say she gets 2 terms. And
Okay.
now you have, you know, just, you know, an untold amount of neoliberal pain that the administrations have inflicted on the country. And so there will be a lot of will to not have another Democrat in power. So
Hmm.
what do we do then? Even then, you know, if AOC was, you know, in a place to run or something like that, would there even be the political will to want to have another Democrat, especially with the name that is so tainted? You know,
Hmm.
the brand of the Democrats.
I think AOC in 12 years is going to be in a very different place.
Yeah, you're
But you're
probably
right.
right.
I think a Republican can win again soon because the Democrats aren't going
Yes.
to damage control or like build. They're like so lazy.
Yes.
they're like they're so lazy. When people were calling me to vote for Biden, they just like are exhausted. They're just like he's not Trump. Like that's what you're selling me
Yes.
on.
Yes. I have screenshots between me and, the texting, volunteers for Biden, and I having done, texting on behalf of the Bernie campaign, I kind of understand how it works operationally. And they got some canned responses, but if you ask certain questions, you can take liberty to talk off script, for instance, within reason. And
Hmm.
I was able to kind of push them there, and literally I was like, what policies is the Biden campaign offering that differs from the Trump campaign?
Yeah.
Often it was just like, well, we got to defend the ACA. I'm like,
Okay.
there's been worse health outcomes post ACA, not because of it, but just because of its ineffectiveness, right? Uh, why is that something that's worth expending a huge amount of political capital to defend?
They don't have answers.
No.
They like I don't think many have answers, at least.
It's a horrifying prospect for them to be able to deliver on something, because it will then have us beg the question, what else can we demand of them? Like, if I think they really think about it as if in terms of like, if you give a mouse a cookie, it's going to want a glass of milk. And
Oh.
they don't want to give us anything, because otherwise we'll be like, "Oh shit, they could have done this the whole time?"
Yeah, well the lockout of AOC from ENC this week, I think that shows so much.
Yeah.
But
Fuck. And I
yeah.
guess if I have to what the fuck is the word? Incite. Anyway, reference another often used clip that is just in my head all the time from another Muslim leader, Malcolm X, where he said, like, about moderate liberals and stuff. Basically, he was like, he talked about restorative justice. If you put a knife in my back and you pull it out 2 inches, like, that's not that doesn't help me. Even if you pull the knife all the way out, and I'm paraphrasing here, obviously, that doesn't address the wound that's there. But he goes on to explain, they won't even acknowledge that the knife is even there.
Yeah.
We haven't even crossed that. Invoke. That's the fucking word I was looking for. Thank you. Jesus. Wow.
Yeah. We went way off topic, but I think that's fine. That was fun.
Oh, this is what we're here for, man. This is why we came to play. Um, Look, in interest of your time, I think we should call 90 minutes a pretty good stream here. Um, Look, obviously, I'm hugely excited that you were interested in joining us for this. It really means a lot that you were able to come on and stick with the community here for this. Please, again, for those that aren't familiar with your Twitter account, I think I can put it up here on the
I
screen.
unfortunately have two, but like,
Yeah, that's fine.
there's a long story about that. But yeah, people can follow if they want or they don't want. That's fine.
Is this correct? The two Twitter accounts?
Um, that is, yes, that's my blue check, which is unfortunate, and then that's my normal one, which is more fun, I would say, from anybody who follows and has that experience
Yes.
of following that one.
And of course I think the your podcast, Habibti Please.
Yeah,
I
it's
believe that's correct.
please with a B. Yeah,
Right,
because
right, right,
Arabs can't say
right.
P.
Habibti Please. I love it.
Thank you. With a B, but it's okay. People will find it.
It's gonna update in one moment. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's the delay.
No, but thanks for having me on. It was really fun.
Nashua, what an honor, and thank you to thank you for all, of course, the the torture that we went through today. Oh, Jesus Christ, learning about this shit. It is so sick. I'm just, and I'm,
It's
we're gonna see all this kind of play out in the years ahead. Especially with the surveillance shit. I'm not gonna say what you should do to a drone if you see one, but be creative. That's all I could say. Invest in slingshots. We are all impacted by the unblinking rictus of capital with the algorithms, and there is no algorithm that should be able to dictate the quality of lives we're entitled to. So, Nashwa, I really appreciate working through these articles together. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. On a down note. Oh, we ended on a down note. Sorry. We were supposed to end on a happy note.
Oh, everything's fine. I feel fine.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm probably
feel fine.
I'm gonna eat maybe some scrambled eggs and toast for dinner. Nothing heavy, just enough, to sustain. And just gonna go back into the pandemic lockdown horror that is tomorrow and the week ahead. But it is Christmas this week, I suppose. So we have a bit to look forward to. Well, then again, we can't gather with family. All right, maybe we should stop. Maybe we should stop here. Stay cool.
No, I think we're fine. This was super fun.
Thank you.
Super fun. I hope. Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Till next time, friends.
Bye.